I'm getting a thumbs up. Well, good evening and welcome. And thank you everyone for coming. This is the 92nd AGM for Dixon Hall. My name is Rod Bolger. I have the honor and privilege of being chair of the board of Dixon Hall, a truly extraordinary organization. An organization that serves so many Torontonians and turns everyday challenges for so many people into mini miracles. And although this meeting is taking place virtually, I want to recognize that Dixon Hall operates on the lands of a number of Indigenous peoples, and the treaty that binds these lands and its people together serves as a reminder to use the spaces we are given thoughtfully and positively, as we plan to do this evening. I will ask Thompson Egbo, Secretary of Dixon Hall, to open things up. Thompson is a huge asset to Dixon Hall and gives so much back to the community. He's also a relatively new father, so it's been another remarkable year for Thompson. Thompson, over to you.
Thanks, Rod. I, Thompson Egbo, Secretary for Dixon Hall, certified that a notice of the virtual annual meeting for today, September 14th, 2021, was posted on the website in accordance with the time frame set out for our bylaws.
Thank you, Thompson. As chair of Dixon Hall Neighborhood Services, I will formally constitute the meeting by confirming that the meeting has quorum and can proceed. Any member who purchased their membership prior to August 14th, 2021 is eligible to vote. I would like to start by welcoming our extraordinary board members who continue to support the important work of Dixon Hall. As I say your name, please wave. And if I missed anyone, chime in at the end, please. Suzanne Gossage, Vice Chair and Chair of the Fundraising Committee. Cameron Scrivens, Vice Chair. Kevin Hibbert, who may not be on camera, Treasurer and Chair, Finance, Audit and Risk Committee. Thompson Egbo, who we heard from, Secretary and Chair of the Real Estate Committee. Big wave anyway. Scott Bell, the Chair of the Governance Committee. Dave Munn, Chair of the Strategic Planning Committee. Barbara Feldberg, Jordana Greenberg, Tim Mosley, Trevelyan Kennedy. Dr. Robert Nam was called into emergency cancer surgery this afternoon, so he may not be on yet. That's how great Dixon Hall is. Even our board members are saving lives on a daily basis. Kelly Lawless and Ron Stokes. If I missed anyone, chime in. Okay, thank you. Also, we have most of the remarkable leadership team present. Mercedes Watson, CEO. Allison Booth, the Director of Finance. Dwight Anderson, Director of People and Culture. Laura Stenberg, Director of Philanthropy and Communications. Bob McKittrick, Director of the Music School. Chris Chow, Director of Senior Services. Sandra Costain, who may be not on video, she's waving virtually. The Director of Children and Youth. David Raycraft, the Director of Housing Services. I don't believe Eric is on, but I see Lauren virtually representing the real estate. And Carmen Clayton, Director, Office of the CEO, Board Relations and Special Projects. This is our second and hopefully last virtual meeting of this sort. Hopefully last, but perhaps not. We shall see. Next, we will approve the minutes of the meeting held on September 15th, 2020. I believe they're going to be shown on the screen, if I'm not mistaken.
They're actually in the chat, Rod.
They're in the chat. So if you know how to go to the chat, go to the chat. You can see the minutes. Are there any questions arising on the business of the prior meeting? And if not, can I seek a resolution approving the minutes of the 2020 annual general meeting? If you are proposing or seconding, please state your name clearly so we may be sure to get the minutes correct. And next year, this part of the agenda can go smoothly.
I'll move Thompson Egbo.
Thank you, Thompson.
And Suzanne Gossage.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, I will take those minutes as approved, being as there's no other questions or concerns. And so with that, I will move into the less formal part of the meeting, but a speech nonetheless, and begin with my opening remarks. And today, this afternoon, this evening is bittersweet for me. I moved to Toronto a little over a decade ago, and I quickly fell in love with this wonderful city. I realized that my 3 young American children, if they were going to become Canadian, needed to learn how to skate. So I took them to skating lessons in Moss Park and walked through some soup kitchens, and also got to know the neighborhood there a little bit. I fell in love with that part of the city as well as the rest of the city. And in my first year in Toronto, I realized that I wanted to give back to the community. And through RBC, I was able to meet with a number of charitable organizations that RBC donates to. And many were doing great work, but this one really had an impact on me. You know, Dixon Hall, I got to visit the Mill Center. You know, I got to hear about employment services, the music school, children and youth. I visited Sandra as I was meeting to join the board, the seniors programs, housing services. There was a lot to Dixon Hall in those days. And these places were making an impact. And that's why I joined the board. I wanted to be with an organization that was really making an impact and driving change in the city. But I'll tell you, it wasn't always easy. And when I joined the board, we were coming out of the financial crisis. We were worried about our future stability. In the early years on the board, late in the year, we would have to design some fundraising programs to ensure that we could balance the books, that would ensure we had enough funding. You'll hopefully hear from our treasurer, Kevin Hibbert, in a few minutes and talk about the establishment of a stability fund coming out of this year. And when it was time for collective bargaining with the union, we were all on pins and needles. We were worried about how to keep pace with inflation for our employees when our government funders required us to keep wages low. Each year, we were in turn worried about strikes. And this really caused us angst because the work that our people do is so essential for our clients that what would we do if there was a strike? And today, thanks in large part to Mercedes and her team, we have the best relationship with the unions that I can recall, and good strong relationship with our employees and who are so essential for everything that we do. You know, 7 years ago, we merged with Mid-Toronto Community Services, you know, and that brought on Meals on Wheels. You know, in my first year on the board, we served over 120,000 meals in the community, largely through housing services. But 9 years later, we served over 700,000 meals. That's a 6-fold increase. And it's really incredible. And the work intensifies each year. Over 9 years to go up 6 times was really remarkable. But just in the past year, we served, and thanks for this, Chris, you know, we served an extra 10,500 meals through Meals on Wheels, an increase of over 15% to almost 75,000 meals. And this is despite having many of our volunteers not coming into the office, where we got a lot of our volunteers to do those deliveries. And yet we were able to increase our throughput and the meeting the needs by so many. And that's a testament to the leadership of Dixon Hall. And I remember the first time I volunteered for Meals on Wheels, a client handed me, he said, "Please don't leave. I need to give you something." And he took a minute or so to walk back and collect an envelope. And in the envelope were 2 things. Well, some coins, which totaled about $1.45, his way of giving back, which I in turn learned I wasn't supposed to accept. But Dixon Hall got the money. Don't worry about that. But the note really touched me, and it said, "Thank you, Dixon Hall, for saving my life." And that's how much the work that we do means to our people, to our clients. In 2012, we provided almost 47,000 bed nights through our various housing programs. You can look it up. It's on our impact report, which you can find on the internet. Still, And now this year, as you can find in our new impact statement, we provided over 100,000 bed nights this year. That's despite the many challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the opioid pandemic, many things that makes serving over 100,000 bed nights that much more challenging. And yet think of the impact that has on our people, on our clients, and the community. 4 or 5 years ago, we refreshed our mission, vision, and values. And our mission is we create lasting solutions to end poverty, social injustices, and isolation in Toronto. Our vision, a city where everyone thrives. Are either of those, the mission or the vision, really attainable? Probably not. But the goal of getting there, the act of getting there, makes such an impact. If you look at that impact report that we posted on the internet and count up all the numbers, you get to an impact of nearly 1 million touch points. And we don't even count all those touch points. So those 1 million touch points provides lasting solutions to bring a difference to so many thousands of people in Toronto, and reducing poverty, reducing social injustice, reducing their isolation, which has never been so important. And I'll tell you, the impact of this on their physical well-being is so pronounced, but these days on the mental well-being is essential. So the work is huge. And the agency is thriving. The leadership is strong. The financial condition Kevin can allude to has never been better. And we're ready for the next 92 years to continue serving Toronto. And what a strong leadership team we have to do that. And so I'd like to provide a big thank you on behalf of the board to the Dixon Hall leadership, the employees and the volunteers for everything that you do on a daily basis. It really is remarkable. And if you are a donor, thank you. Without your generosity, thousands would go unserved by Dixon Hall. So keep that money flowing. Keep being generous. It's essential. And to all of our members, many of some of whom are gathered virtually here tonight, I thank you too for your support for Dixon Hall. And thank you for letting me be the board chair for these years. It's been quite a humbling experience. And at this point, I would like to turn the agenda over, assuming he is on, to our esteemed treasurer, Kevin Hibbert. Kevin is brilliant and a passionate board member, and we are fortunate to have him serve as treasurer. He's a little bit under the weather, not from COVID, so feel free to keep breathing virtually. But Kevin, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can everybody hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, that is great. Whilst our city is dealing with COVID and the issues therein, I unfortunately am dealing with the issues associated with having ice cream at my age at midnight last night, and the negative implications of that on me from a food poisoning perspective. So I'll sort that out, hopefully. I'll be providing you all with a brief overview of our financial position and results of operations for the year ended March 31st, 2021. The growth in Dixon Hall's operations continues as department areas such as housing expand to meet the high levels of need for those most vulnerable in the city. The annual operating revenues grew from $18.4 million in 2020 to $23.2 million in 2021, a growth of $4.8 million or 26% over the last year. The agency had an operating surplus of $415,000, which we plan to use in the establishment of a stability fund, to our board chair's point earlier. This is an important step in fortifying our treasury and liquidity profile over the long term, and is yet another indicator of the ongoing evolution of this great agency for the benefit of our clients and partners. The main source of growth in the agency is the additional City of Toronto funding we received, primarily due to the opening of 4 additional shelters: Bond Hotel, Strathcona Hotel, Hotel Victoria, and 354 George Street. Dixon Hall's ability to secure new contracts as we head into this fiscal year confirms that the work we are doing is just as impactful as our chairman just mentioned. Our ability to build partnerships and increase our efforts to meet the needs of our clients is a testament to Dixon Hall's volunteers, staff, and community partners. Without their tireless dedication and passion for undertaking the mission, vision, and values of the agency, this work would frankly not be possible. So thank you. As we head into a year where we will no doubt continue to increase the number of clients that we serve, we cannot ignore the story that our growth in services tells about those most vulnerable in the city. The pandemic has highlighted the many social and economic challenges that are unfortunately present in most large and growing cities in Toronto and around the world. We should not let up on our efforts to find solutions that address critical issues such as truly affordable housing, food insecurity, and social isolation. We will remain committed to focusing on the social determinants of health as we expand our resources to serve those in our communities in the downtown east and across the city. As is the case every year, no motion is required from the members to approve the financial statements. At our 2020 annual general meeting, a resolution was passed to seek new auditors for the agency to address our growing and changing needs. This work will now be undertaken by the CEO and Director of Finance together with the Finance Audit and Risk Committee, and will be approved by the board. That said, thank you for your time, and I'll turn things back over to our chairman.
Thank you, Kevin. That's an outstanding update, and the element of the committee that you chair, Finance and Risk, is the risk element has been invaluable over the last 18 months in terms of the insights that you and the committee and along with management have provided for helping us navigate all these challenges each of the directors has to deal with, growing risk given COVID and other challenges. So fantastic work. Thank you. And great job on that stability fund. That's fantastic and sets us up for success going forward. And speaking of success, it is now time to celebrate the Order of Dixon. And as a reminder, given a little history lesson here, we're going to go back pre my becoming part of Dixon Hall in 2012, back to 2009, when the Order of Dixon was established to recognize those special friends who have made an outstanding contribution to the organization. Each year since 2009, the agency has selected individuals to honor and recognize for their contribution during our AGM. This year, we have selected 3 such individuals to be recognized. And the first, we should have Thompson doing a drum roll, or Bob should be in the music school doing a drum roll right now. The first recipient of the Order of Dixon, Fred Campbell. Fred has been volunteering with the Meals on Wheels program for many years, often going above and beyond the call of duty. Coming in about a half hour earlier than the others, Fred assists our staff driver in packing, sorting, and picking up the meals from St. Michael's Hospital. This is critical work. His contributions to making our program run more efficiently has greatly impacted service delivery in a positive way for our clients. And you heard me talk about that 15% increase with fewer volunteers. It's only because of volunteers like Fred that we can do this. So congratulations, Fred, on the Order of Dixon. Well deserved. And our second winner is none other than Monty Hanson. And Monty was previously a peer worker in the housing department and transitioned to volunteer in the food access program when the peer program ended. He started in this role during the pandemic back in July of 2020 and has continued to volunteer every week since. Monty has made many contributions to the program beyond simply volunteering his time, not that that's simple. For example, Monty has made personal donations. He's purchased cooking equipment for the kitchen so that our programs can offer a wider variety of food options and cook more efficiently, both extremely important. And has also grown to independently facilitate certain donation-based meal programs at our 30 St. Lawrence site and continues to be a constant in many of our meal programs. And those meals cover most of our services, including children and youth and seniors and obviously housing. But these programs, this is a specific one as well. But this kitchen equipment can benefit more. He's been a rock during the many unforeseen transitions the food programs have been through during the pandemic and truly devoted himself to these programs. He's aided in making certain donation-based programs more accessible by volunteering his time on holidays to ensure that these programs can still operate when staff are away. So Monty, we're hearing so many great reviews, both from community members and also the Dixon Hall team. So thank you for representing the strong values and the commitment that all of our volunteers makes to the program. And congratulations on winning the Order of Dixon for 2021. And for our third recipient, I am instructed by leadership to hand the mic over to Cameron Scrivens, Vice Chair, who is going to apparently issue the third Order of Dixon. Cameron.
Thank you, Rod. The final recipient for the Order of Dixon for 2021 is Rod Bolger. I could spend my time talking all about Rod's contributions to Dixon Hall from his 9 years of service to his officer positions on the board, chair of FAR, chair of strategy, vice chair, ultimately chair of the board, to his fundraising achievements as a key member of the Youth Center Committee, to his personal donations to Dixon Hall with his wife, Nancy, as well as the awesome wine he always donates to Dixon Hall events. But I would actually prefer to talk about Rod's compassion and his heart. Caring for others and compassion for others is deep in his soul. If you can indulge me, I'd like to share a personal story. I first met Rod on the youth soccer field when I had the privilege of coaching our young, very young children. Rod had just arrived in Canada from the US, and his daughter, Lauren, was our team star, and she still is a star soccer player. Well, my daughter, who has physical disabilities, only touched the soccer ball when it hit her by accident. At one of the games, I noticed Rod, enthusiastic as always on the sidelines, whispering with his daughter, wondering what this boisterous American was doing. I continued to coach, only to watch a few plays later, Rod's daughter, Lauren, feeding my daughter a soft pass to give her a shot on goal. It was a small gesture, but it was huge insight into this special individual, watching out for others and teaching his young child to do the same. We are so fortunate that Rod brought his energy, his passion, his leadership, his compassion, and his heart to Dixon Hall. Please join me in congratulating my dear friend, Rod Bolger, Order of Dixon 2021. And when the applause stops and the standing ovation, if we could stand, we would. I will pass the baton back over to Mercedes Watson, CEO, Dixon Hall, to deliver the CEO report. Thank you.
Cameron, I am never going to follow you ever again. Thank you for that. And thank you, Rod. I spoke to Rod earlier today. Since joining as CEO of Dixon Hall, Rod and I have had bi-weekly meetings, never late, never postponed, always on time. Rod has been a sage, leader, advisor, confidant, supporter, and I will miss you terribly. I'm so grateful for all that you have done for me since my joining of Dixon Hall. Thank you, Thompson, for opening your last meeting as our secretary. Thompson had the, I don't know if he ever thought of it as misfortune of living so close to the Dixon Hall offices. And we always bent his ear when he stopped in, and always lent his support, gave us advice on things that we needed, and often offered wisdom for us when we were trying to undertake our day-to-day. So thank you so much, Thompson, for all of your work, for your continued and valiant advocacy of community and of Dixon Hall. And thank you, Rod, for your words earlier. Thank you too to Kevin Hibbert, who you heard steward our finance and has continued to steward the agency's finances through the most difficult and challenging of times, and continues and will continue his responsibilities as our treasurer. I hope my words will add to your understanding of the work of the agency, which I urge you to see encapsulated, as Rod mentioned, in our 2020-2021 impact report, which is aptly titled Stronger Together. It is a beautiful and colorful depiction of our work over the past year. And I'd like to highlight a new section in the opening pages of our report that immediately follows our mission, vision, and values, which you heard both Rod and Kevin allude to. And it puts some context to the year that we are reflecting upon as we use what we've learned over this last strange year to guide us into our future. This section reads in part, at Dixon Hall, we recognize that we work and learn on the traditional territory of the many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. This is land that is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Here, there is more labor to be done, more effort that lies ahead than through any single land acknowledgement, and we embrace this work. Like so many organizations, Dixon Hall is focusing on our complex positionality. We represent a myriad of voices, including Indigenous peoples, settlers, and guests. We acknowledge that to speak for Dixon Hall is to speak with many voices in many languages, offering multiple perspectives. Understanding this complexity, we are actively asking ourselves the roles we need to play with respect to reconciliation. We know there is much more we can do as we serve marginalized communities to leverage the individual and organizational privilege we have to produce change. I wanted to read that because I believe the work that Dixon Hall is doing and continues to do truly embodies that vision to look to the many voices, the many languages, and the multiple perspectives that we have tried to provide services to and incorporate into the work that we do as an agency. As the pandemic persists and the waves of severity continue to detrimentally impact those most in need, most harshly, social change and systems rethinking has been the focus, not only at Dixon Hall, but at so many of our sister agencies across the city. There are no superlatives that could effectively describe the degree to which our staff teams have dedicated themselves to their work during this strange and persisting pandemic. The health of our agency, the expansion of our work, the reach of our partnerships, the stability of our finances, and the efforts to improve our workplace culture are all demonstrative of the bold commitment to providing quality services to those in the neighborhoods in which we undertake our work every day. We are proudly at a place where we are doing the work to live out our mission, vision, and values externally as well as internally. But we're not done. Sadly, for those we serve, there is much more work to do. Our donors, our peer workers, volunteers, all have continued to show their confidence in our work. Government funders, community organizations, corporate donors, and critically the United Way have all shown up for Dixon Hall. The work of our board and the leadership team, the planning that is preparing us for the next 5 years, which you will begin to see unfolding in the coming weeks, months, and years ahead in the form of our strategic plan, all signal how much stronger we have become in our efforts to be an agency that understands the challenges of our work, the difference it can make for communities in Toronto's downtown east and in the lives of our employees. We have done this together. I encourage you to read our impact report and stay tuned for information on our strategic planning and our future goals for the agency. I thank you for being the reason our report has had an impact. And I end my report here for this 92nd Annual General Meeting of Dixon Hall with my sincere thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Mercedes. That it was a great report and big impact in that impact report. The work continues. The needs, sadly, the needs grow. So we've got to keep at it. We've got to. This work's important, and you said it well. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership. And that brings us to any Q&A. I don't know if there was any Q&A submitted. I'm seeing a few head shakes. No, I'm Laura, Norman, and Mercedes. So with that, I think we can continue on with some more business. And you know what that means? We need the Secretary of Business, Thompson Egbo, to return front and center.
Perfect.
Thompson.
Thanks, Rod. So with the re-election of directors, confirming the following board members whose terms are continuing. Number 1, Kevin Hibbert as treasurer. Number 2, Cameron Scrivens as vice chair. Number 3, Suzanne Gossage as vice chair. Number 4, Scott Bell as director. Number 5, Trevelyan Kennedy as director. Number 6, Tim Mosley as director. Number 7, Jordana Greenberg as director. Number 8, Dr. Robert Nam as director. Number 9, David Munn as director. Number 10, Kelly Lawless as director. And number 11, Ron Stokes as director. And I will ask for someone to move a motion to re-elect these board of directors. Looking through, oh, and also please, as Rod asked, please state your name for the record. So I'll need a mover and a seconder.
Suzanne Gossage can move.
Lawless, second.
There was 2 there, so we'll take
Kelly. I heard Kelly second.
Okay. Perfect. All in favor? Great. Now, Rod, I guess I hand it back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Well, we do have one thing after I conclude the official part of the meeting. I'm not sure if we have a singer or what, but a musician, or next time we're in person for this, we will be doing that again. And hopefully we'll have music for life this fall, hopefully, of some sort, or sometime soon. I miss those evenings. But I'd like to thank you all for your attendance and participation and ongoing support of the agency. There's no further official business. I will request a motion. I don't need a second or just a motion. A lot of rules here to close the official business of the meeting. And with that, it'll be resolved that the business of the meeting will be concluded, and seek a motion to adjourn, and no seconder is required. So a motion.
Thompson, Egbo.
Thompson has motioned it and so moved. And so with that, do I hand it off to Scott or Mercedes?
Hand it off to Scott. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
So that's the end of the official program. But just wanted to point out that due to the term limits in the bylaws, we have 3 fantastic directors departing. The first is Rod Bolger, who's been on the board for 9 years as our fearless leader, most recently as the chair of the board. Thompson Egbo has been on the board for 7 years, since 2014, on a number of committees, but most recently the chair of the real estate committee, tons of activity on that committee. And Barbara Feldberg, who's been on the board for the last 6 years and has been on a number of committees as well, very active, and on the real estate committee and the most recently the governance committee with me. Without the term limits, we'd be crazy letting these people go, and we would be grabbing them by the leg and making them stay on the board because of their incredible contributions and their mentorship to other people on the board, taking their time and effort to make sure that the board is strong as they depart. We wanted to create a memorable, meaningful gift for each of them. So I happen to know that a special package was delivered to them, and I will ask them to open that package now. Watch out for the confetti, it pops out.
And while they're doing that, I'm going to continue. Yep, that's the one, Rod.
Okay.
Heavy, it's heavy.
Okay, I'm going to continue to read. So to commemorate your outstanding and long-standing contribution, we wanted each of you to have a piece of Dixon Hall.
Hopefully it's not as best. Hopefully it's not as best as from 58 Sumac.
I thought we were supposed to have the Jeopardy music play or something like that.
Okay.
Thompson's first.
Thompson's got his out. Can you hold it up there, Thompson?
Barbara, do you have your
Barbara?
side?
Oh, wow.
Wow, very nice.
3 original bricks were secured from the interior demolition of 58 Sumac. They serve as a symbolic, creative backdrop for the unique piece of art that you have each received, which brings the past into the future, recognizing your leadership and contribution to Dixon Hall's ongoing support of community, agency growth, and your tireless efforts over the years. Kristen McCrae, one of the artists who created the murals at Dixon Hall's new Bill Graham Youth Center at 51 Wyatt, created unique graphics on each brick that symbolizes your character and your contributions. For Thompson, the seeds and flow invisible piano keys to symbolize your lifelong connection and growth with Dixon Hall Music School. Full of joy, fully dedicated, and honoring community. There's also a nod to one of your album covers if you look closely. For Barbara, grass and flowers and strong geometric shapes to symbolize you, a more quiet and focused person one cannot find. You were always reliable, the strength in the background, always present, delivering revelations and our historical agency memory. For Rod, the leaves symbolize growth and the way you always try to lift people up. The geometric patterns are a reflection of your reliability and consistency. The blue symbolizes your love of movement, never still and unwavering. The traits that you have so valiantly demonstrated as you steer Dixon Hall through sometimes difficult and rough waters. The dots are intended to be symbolic grains of sand in an hourglass and are a testament to your careful and thoughtful respect of time.
So Barbara, Thompson, and Rod, we can't express to you enough our gratitude, both from Dixon Hall and from the board in particular. We hope this brick will find a place in your office, home, garden, on a bookshelf, or as a doorstop. They were, as you can feel, they're particularly solid bricks from a bygone era and from the very beginnings of Dixon Hall. And we hope that it will always remind you of the strong place you hold in the history of Dixon Hall and the hearts of those who've had the pleasure of benefiting from your contribution to the agency's future. So thank you very much to the 3 of you. We just can't say enough about what you've contributed over the many years.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much from all of us, and know that you will forever be woven into the fabric of the Dixon Hall family.
Very kind, thank you. That's awesome.
So that's the end of our program today. I would ask the directors that are continuing to stay on for a quick directors meeting to follow, just from housekeeping items as we move forward. So if the directors could stay on, and we thank the members for all joining, and that brings the end to the annual general meeting for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.